And welcome to Thrift Shop Biography. This is the one about Sarah Ferguson. Thank you for listening. Hello, Cleo.
Hello, Richard. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm chomping at the bit to talk about Fergie.
Oh, horse-related.
I can't wait to talk about this.
Excellent. Me too.
Do you know what? I have to ask you straight away, because I found this book about a year ago, and then you subsequently found it, which is why we're doing it. But it's just occurred to me, we might not have read the same book, because she's got about 3.
Oh, this one's called My Story.
Oh, phew. That's the one that I've got.
Oh, good.
Good.
Well, it was published in 96. So it's actually old news. It's up to and just beyond the divorce.
Well, it's her story.
Yeah, it's her origins, really.
Yeah,
because
it's everything I want to know.
yeah, she's had another 30 years of life, which just get messy. This is the foundation of who this woman is.
And of course, one of the things about having this book on our pile for so long and deciding to read it just a couple of weeks ago, of course, lots of press has surfaced recently.
Still
Which
kicked
is,
off with Prince Andrew.
My God, it's despicable, really. And so obviously we were discussing whether we should actually do this episode, but it's kind of like the villain origin story, isn't it?
Except she's not necessarily the villain. Prince Andrew's the villain, and that's pretty much confirmed.
Well,
it is confirmed now, but there's nothing about that in this book.
Do you know what? Everything's got so many, and I do think Prince Andrew is a terrible person. I don't think Fergie, recent events, I don't think she comes out of it unscathed. But let's talk about the book that we've read.
That's
I
the
have
thing.
a really good theory at the end about how she has ended up where she is now.
Yeah, and it's a very hell of a way to understand who this woman is and why she's stuck by Andrew, to just find out who she is.
Yes.
And where she's at.
And how she got there from being a little chubby ginger horsey girl in Berkshire.
Yeah. And how this whole aristocracy thing works, the whole system of it. It's very interesting, isn't it?
It's so interesting. Because who we read so far, we've read Diana and Harry, and this is yet another insight into the inner workings of the British royal family.
Yes.
So fascinating.
But Diana was aristocratic. Harry was right from the inside of the royals. She says she's one step down from aristocracy. She's just posh.
Yeah, because Diana had a label. What does she have? A title.
Yeah.
Whereas Fergie doesn't. Fergie's just Fergie.
Yeah, she is.
Like, we know who she is, but what did you know before you read this book?
I mean, we lived through it, because we lived through Charles and Di, and we lived through this, and I've tended to believe everything the press ever told me. So, yeah, she wore terrible clothes. Yeah, she was blah, blah. She was trying to sell her, tickets to meet Andrew because she was low on money. I've believed everything I've read.
Well, lots of it was true.
To be honest, she's pretty much backed a lot of that up in this book, didn't she? Yeah. How about you?
I've kind of always liked her because I like an outsider,
Yeah.
I always root for the underdog, and I'm not a fan, really, of
So
the
it's the
royal
gingers,
family.
isn't it?
It's gingers. I love gingers,
Yeah. Her and Harry, yeah. There's a parallels to Harry is massive, did you think?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, great, yeah.
The Harry and Meghan, the whole thing, is totally
Similar.
almost a mirror of what's happened, Fergie and the royal family and the press and the insiders. And, just basically how nobody should be in the royal family. It's an abuse of your human rights.
No, I know. But yet again, I love the Queen more. Because the Queen always loves the outsiders as well. The Queen loved Harry and she loved Fergie. And she sounds like a hoot, honestly.
I think the Queen is very pragmatic. I think she's very good at being the Queen.
She was very, very good.
I don't think that necessarily makes her a nice person.
Yeah, but, she kept in touch with Fergie.
Do you know what?
All the way through.
More than ever, from reading this book, this just solidifies the fact that I've always thought, is that the royal family are just gangsters.
Gangsters!
They are like mafia.
But then it's not necessarily them. They're almost the workers for the firm again.
Yeah.
There's a firm behind them.
Yeah.
They're not even in control.
And do you know what? Yes, I think this is the same as like the American presidency. I think we have Trump, but actually does he have ultimate
puppets.
control, or are there people above him? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, people in the alcoves actually pulling the strings, yeah.
Yeah,
Sinister
you see.
people.
Oh my God, we're talking too much.
Oh my
Let's
God, let's
start.
start.
Let's get on with it. Sarah Ferguson.
Otherwise known as Fergie.
Fergie.
Born in 1959 in Berkshire.
In Berkshire.
Born posh.
Oh, they're posh. They're old money for sure.
Oh, yeah.
She has an older sister called Jane, who's 2 years older. And her dad is Major Ronald Ferguson. And her mum is Susan Wright. And they're both of Irish descent. But they go back, they do have blue blood in their family. They have 4 dukes in their ancestry. And weirdly, she says that in her family, Charles II had 3 mistresses, which is very incestuous because Charles II is one man and 3 women.
Hang on, Charles II had 3 mistresses just of her descendants.
Yes.
Of her ancestors, I mean.
He's one man, so 3 women in her family all had affairs with him.
Yes.
They were clearly sisters or something.
Yeah, and they didn't mind being mistresses as long as they were near the power. And it's very telling, isn't it? I know she got him to put a ring on it, but it's kind of like she's the mistress of Andrew, really.
Fergie.
Yeah, it's like they accept that as that can be a role, just to be someone's mistress, because that's what her ancestors were.
Oh my God, these royals, honestly.
I know, and
poor Diana thought it was more fairy tale, didn't she? Which was her undoing. Anyway, sorry, we've jumped right ahead to them getting...
Oh yeah, we're leaping ahead. We're overexcited again.
And yeah, so because of this ancestry, royal ancestry that Sarah Ferguson has, she's actually more connected and has a more definite heritage to the English royal family than Prince Andrew actually has, because they're just a bunch of foreigners, really.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
And 4th cousins to Lady Diana Spencer.
Yeah, I know.
What does 4th cousin actually mean?
I don't know.
It's just like a distant relative.
Yeah.
So she just has a very nice, horsey childhood and she really loves her. She speaks so highly of her mum and dad.
I thought you were going to say of horses.
And her horses.
Yeah, she does.
But when she's 9-year-old, her granddad dies, which means they go to live on his dairy farm in Hampshire, which is called...
Dumber Down.
Dumber Down.
You couldn't make it up.
Oh my God, it's brilliant. Dumber Down.
Did you just dumb her down a bit? No, she's as dumb as it. I mean, oh dear. It's ridiculous. So before she was on about 14 acres, and she does continually try and tell us that she's therefore an ordinary person.
Yeah, right.
And now she's on 800 acres. And she goes, it's a wonderful childhood in Hampshire. You'd go out on your horse, and as far as the eye could see, you knew you were on your own property. It's like, what?
How lucky.
And see that feeling you get from that. And she only got that again when she was in Balmoral.
Yeah, right.
Because they own the bloody world once you get out there.
So, again, it's just horses and more horses.
It really is.
In fact, her dad plays polo on horses and he plays with Prince Philip and Prince Charles. So there's a real connection to the royal family. And Sarah says that growing up, the royal family weren't this other thing. They were literally friends of her parents, and that's how she thought about them.
Yeah, they were real. I mean, yeah, his dad ran the Guards Polo Club for Prince Philip and was later Prince Charles's polo manager. So they're really connected. And it seems like her mum was really good mates with the Queen and her gran.
Yeah.
And like when they went to polo matches when she was a kid, she'd be round the back of the seats playing tag with Prince Andrew, who was the same age as her, from when they were kids. I didn't know that they knew each other when they were kids. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. No, I had no idea. I mean, I didn't really know too much about them, in all fairness.
No, I didn't, actually.
Because, like, Charles and Diana knew each other. I mean, Charles was a lot older than Diana, but he knew Diana's older sister.
That's right.
So he literally knew Diana when she was a child.
Yeah.
So they're all there. They can't just literally marry a commoner. Although William did, didn't he?
That's true, yeah. But this lot are really friends of the family, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she says she became the tomboy because she was the son her dad never had. The marriage was already in trouble when she was born. She was sort of supposed to be the glue that tied them together, but it didn't really work. But she felt it, she sensed it. And so she really was trying to please everybody, to make sure everybody was, to keep the family tight. She must have sensed they were drifting apart. So she had that anxiety early on.
Yeah, and just wanting to be a good girl and no trouble for anyone, just because she sensed there was trouble in the family and she didn't want to add to it.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, because that's who she's been her entire life, really.
It is, really.
It's another. We read a lot of these books. I do kind of find that people are generally born the way they are, and nurture comes into it a lot. But I think we're born with our personalities.
Agreed, but
it's just my uneducated opinion.
Well, if it was about trying to feel like you got to glue your parents together, that's nurture.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's very sporty and outdoorsy and horsey and muddy.
Yeah, but who isn't? Who isn't in that world? Yeah, they all are. That's their culture, because you've got bugger all to do, because you don't need to go out and get a paper round, do you?
Yeah, right.
Get a waitressing job.
She's show jumping.
Show jumping, yeah.
She does very well. She just says she collects trophies by the dozen.
Yeah.
So she's very into horses. Have we mentioned that already? Because she mentions it all through this fucking book. Horses, horses, horses.
It serves her well, because the Queen loves horses, so she was in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is kind of her, what's the word? It's her
happy place.
Her happy,
yeah.
Horses are her happy place.
Refuge.
It's her refuge. Yes. Horses are her refuge.
Yes.
They keep her stable.
Hey, very good. Nice one.
But nay more.
Oh.
Stop it. Oh, anyway, where is she now?
I'll tell you where she is. She's 13, right? And winning all these competitions. And then her parents go on holiday to Corfu. Doesn't sound like they take her with them. And her mother meets this bloke called Hector Barrantes, who is a champion polo player. I imagine probably a friend of her dad's. And he's recently lost his 8-month pregnant wife in a car crash. So he's a very, very sad man. And her mother falls in love with him. Not long after they get back from that holiday, she leaves home. She leaves their home to go and live with this man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, to have your mother walk out on you is the ultimate rejection, really, isn't it? So she really, really suffers with a debilitating sense of herself and her self-worth forever.
Oh, I know. I felt quite sad reading this book. Yeah, she just doesn't ever think she's good enough.
No, she doesn't.
And, you know,
your mother
because she's
leaving you.
ginger and chubby and, you know, she just has a really bad opinion of herself, even as a young girl.
Yeah, she does.
Which is why she's a people pleaser, because she wants everyone to like her.
That's right. And then she eats out of anxiety and gets fatter and thinks she's fat, you know. And the thing is, I've studied pictures of her. She's never fat.
No, she
It's
isn't, is she?
She's never. She's just maybe not skinny, but in a certain society, you're supposed to be skinny. So she's comparing herself to those people.
And let me tell you something that I never noticed the whole time she's been in our lives.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of the way she's been presented through the press and stuff. And maybe because she's been constantly compared to Diana. Sarah Ferguson is actually beautiful. When I was looking at the photos in this book, my gosh, she's stunning.
I agree. And I have seen that for the first time properly this week.
Yeah, me too. Isn't that
mad,
strange?
Isn't it? It's mad. Yeah, she's really lovely looking and I never saw it. But Di was so obviously stunningly beautiful. The poor woman had to be next to Di her whole bloody life.
Yeah.
If she just stood alone, she'd have been a ginger goddess. Mind you, I mean, you know, her dress sense is questionable, I'm going to say.
Yeah, but that's not entirely her fault. She's being dressed by people when she's in the palace.
No, do you know what? It's not her fault. And I think that comes a lot by her being a tomboy.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's naturally her. I think she literally would put on jeans and a jumper and go out and tweeds and go out horse riding. And so it's not her natural state to have to dress up in this society. It sounds like she's made so many faux pas. She's never fitted in. She isn't the right person. Which means other people have dressed her, which means it's their fault.
Yes,
so we need a list of names because she doesn't know what she's doing and she's never claimed she does.
For their crimes against fashion.
Yeah, but she didn't make those clothes. Whereas Di loved fashion and she understood it. And Fergie was a clothes horse. Funnily enough, actually, Di was a clothes horse. And unbelievably, Fergie wasn't.
And Fergie was a hobby horse.
Right, anyway, so that doesn't help you to see her beauty when she's got these massive puffed up sleeves or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
A horrible colour or some disgusting fabric. And you forget if she just wore a beautiful black dress, she would have looked gorgeous. But you're looking at the clothes half the time. That's my theory on that. It was a distraction.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And you know, this whole thing about, we just said she was standing next to Diana and stuff. But actually what happened after her mum left home, she went to secondary school where she had to board during the week. The school she wanted to go to closed down. And so she had to go to this school in the city, which was a ballet school, essentially. And there were people like Juliet Stevenson there. She said it was all showbiz families. And of course, Fergie's very outdoorsy, very hands in the mud. And all of a sudden, as a teenager, a 13-year-old, she's now at this kind of school in the city where everyone's a dancer, everyone's a ballerina. So Fergie definitely feels out of place and out of shape, you know?
All the time she says she's fat. She must be so fit. You have to be so physically fit to do all that horse riding stuff she does.
Yeah, it's just her own self-image, isn't it?
Yes, it really is, yeah. And it's interesting because she had to go home at weekends and she hated it because her mum wasn't there. You know, and she said she was slamming doors and really misbehaving.
Well, her dad remarried, didn't he? A woman called Susan, and it just wasn't the same.
Well, for a while she was coming home, they have different girlfriends as well. She had to cope with that. But she really stuck by her dad, whereas her sister went to stay with her mum in Chelsea for a bit and then got married and moved to Australia.
Yeah.
So she got out. But Fergie had this real attachment to her dad, you know. She really loved him, even though he sounds very strict and, you know, quite hard sometimes.
Yeah, after the sister Jane got married, for the wedding, Mum came back to the house. And then they both left and Mum went to live with Hector in Argentina. Jane went to Australia with her husband. So it's literally Sarah, Fergie, and her dad. And she says after the wedding, they had the reception at the house, somebody had spilt raspberries on the kitchen floor. And so her and her dad got down to clean them. And she said her dad just started crying. But she says that really bonded them.
I know.
They have such a nice relationship, I think. She calls him Dads, doesn't she?
I know.
Which is such a funny name because it's literally, just call him Dad.
I know.
But it's Dads. It's really affectionate.
Yeah, it is.
No, she talks about him very fondly, and I'm sure they've had a really strained relationship at times. Of course.
I know, it's just this picture of this polo playing royal, you know, strong lieutenant, whatever he is, on his hands and knees under the table, breaking down crying.
Yeah.
You know, that obviously is what she remembers as, she said in that moment, she went, I've got to stand by my dad for the rest of my life. I've got to be there for him. And then weirdly, she almost doesn't mention him for the rest of the book. So you've got to just assume, I guess, that she visits him a lot because that's almost the end of it.
Yeah, but then she's 16 herself and actually she doesn't hang about at home. First of all, she goes off to Argentina and spends 6 months with her mum and Hector. And then she comes back and she goes to Secretarial College in South Kensington. She doesn't quite know what she wants to do.
Hasn't got a clue.
But she knows she doesn't want to be a ballerina like all the other girls at school.
No, or go to finishing school.
Yeah, that's right. She doesn't want to do finishing school. So she goes to learn to be a secretary, which she's no good at. And then she gets a job in a PR firm as a secretary. But then all of a sudden, this young teenage Sarah Ferguson is in London.
Yeah, the job is her dad's friend's PR firm in Knightsbridge. So it's, you know, it's keeping it in that world. She hasn't just gone and got any old job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but also what's interesting as well is that she says all the other girls in her social set who grew up like her, all of their parents have apartments and stuff in London. So that's naturally where they go and live.
That's right.
Actually, her family doesn't.
Yeah.
She actually has to rent a room and it's £50 a week. And she drives a battered old Mini Clubman around. So she is actually doing it for herself. She's not living off mum and dad at this point. She's still a teenager. And she's working and she's paying rent.
That is true. But let me just add this. She's absolutely rubbish with money, right? Even then, because she's on this really low wage, like $4,000 a year and plus however much, like 1,200, I worked it out from her parents. So she's not on that much and she's paying rent. But she says, the parking tickets were piling up. I could never afford to pay them and pay my phone bill.
Yeah, right.
And my bank overdraft was building up and I was just terrible with money. And all the time I was going to jazz bars and music clubs and tanning salons and restaurants, right? Now, when I was her age and you and blah, 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 we couldn't afford it. So we didn't go to restaurants. I'd never have gone to a tanning salon anyway. But do you know what I mean? She's living totally beyond her means.
Yeah, right.
And that's important to her story because that's the way she carries on, but it gets massively bigger.
Oh my God, does it
She's
ever.
rubbish with money. But she loves the high life.
No, she does have the highlight. She has a really nice, like her late teenage years in London is party central, isn't it? And she does go off like skiing and stuff as well. You're right. She doesn't have much money, but she manages to spend it and then some.
Yes. And she says, I was the life and soul of every party because I was a people pleaser. So it's always great to have old Fergie at the party, something. And she was on the dating game and she never knew how to deal with it. But again, she's a people pleaser. And I'm like, does that mean you were really shagging about because you didn't want to say no in case you upset anyone? That's implied here, I think. She never gets into that stuff, does she? She really leaves the details out.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's still a royal when she's writing this book, so she probably has to be a bit careful.
Exactly. She can't say too much. So I just want to say, should we talk about these weekends in the country that she describes?
With all the Sloane Rangers.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of Madonna's brother's book when he talks about her wedding. And he has to go out hunting with Guy Ritchie and how sickened he was by this whole... Because like you go and stay for the whole weekend and they'll take you to your room with your luggage. They'll hang your stuff up in the wardrobe, whatever, and run you a bath and give you a gin and tonic. We'll say, see you after you've had a bath. Downstairs in your evening wear, because there's dress codes for the whole thing. And then you have dinner and whatever. And then next morning you get breakfast and then you have to go out hunting with the boys. And then you have to get dressed for lunch and have more alcohol. It's always alcohol, like gin and tonic. Usually go back out again hunting. Then you come back, more alcohol, get dressed for dinner in long dresses. And then there's a dance. Obviously all the partying. I bet they're all shagging about. And then... And then she says, then there's breakfast the next morning on Sunday morning when they're all comically hungover. But you have Bloody Marys for breakfast. And then you might go on a walk. And then you have to have lunch with more Bloody Marys. And then you get to read the Sunday papers. And then go back to talk at work the next morning. What a jolly weekend. That's her world. And she says she doesn't fit in. And I've got to believe her, I suppose she doesn't. But she does. She kind of does fit in. She knows how to do it. It is her world.
And she makes the most of it.
She makes the most of it, yeah. It's just kind of fascinating. I mean, everybody invites you who's got a house big enough that you can have an ensuite room. Because the houses they ended up building for themselves were like 30-bedroom ensuite rooms and stuff. And that's what it's for, to have all this mass entertainment. That's their world. And that costs money.
Yeah.
The staff, alone.
The towels.
The towels.
So,
yes.
Fergie's very much part of the Sloane Ranger scene. Yeah.
Totally. So anyway, that's her world.
And then she meets this older guy skiing called Paddy McNally, and she's with him for a bit. In fact, she's with him for quite a while. Now, also not knowing that Fergie and Diana were fourth cousins and mates, I didn't know that Fergie went to Charles and Diana's wedding.
Nor did I. She went on her own. We didn't know who she was then.
We didn't know who she was then, but she also says that she would meet Diana once a week for lunch. And Diana is 2 years younger than Fergie. That surprised me, because we got to know Diana first. For some reason, I thought she was the older one.
Yeah, you're right.
But of course, Diana was so young.
But yeah, then after the wedding, she carried on going to meet her once a week for lunch, except this time she had to leave work and go to Buckingham Palace to meet her for lunch.
And she said she recognised very quickly how isolated Diana was and actually how she had changed.
Yes.
Quite quickly, because she wasn't allowed to go out or do anything.
Yeah. By the way, that first partner of Fergie's, Paddy, he was in motor racing. So he's minted rich. All his friends were minted rich. And he put on these massive parties. And he had the finest wines, she specifically pointed out, and business dinners and stuff. And he had the biggest chalet in that whole place, which was like a castle overlooking the whole town.
Yeah.
And it just makes me think that she's very much drawn to the glamorous life again,
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the father figure, maybe a bit as well, but I don't know, because he was 20 years older. But she just definitely wanted in with the party life. She's a party girl.
Yeah. I think it's also that thing of being old money and having no money.
Cash.
I think it's attaching yourself to people who do have money.
Yeah, actually, it's true.
And be a guest of those people so you can have that lifestyle without actually being able to afford it yourself. If you're going out with Paddy McNally, and whose chalet's like a castle,
then he's going to pay your way.
Yeah.
You're right, because when she got invited to those weekends, she had to borrow clothes off her stepmother. She didn't have her own. Mind you, she's spending it on restaurants and jazz bars and tanning salons.
I didn't know ginger people went to tanning salons.
I guess it's the 80s and you couldn't be pale. But yeah, she was never, she brown.
Well, it didn't mean that it worked.
Yeah.
It probably just made her more freckly.
Yeah. Brings out your freckles, yeah.
Then, in 1985, she got invited to the Queen's house party at Windsor Castle for Royal Ascot.
Ascot week. A week-long party.
Yes,
Shocking.
she even gets her own, lady-in-waiting for the week.
Yes, and a suite in the Edward III Tower. It's amazing.
So that's one step up from all of her Sloane Ranger hunting weekends.
Yes,
The Queen is the real deal. She's like the final boss of weekend parties.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
So
Totally.
Fergie's invited, so she's on the radar. And I think this could have something to do with Diana, her visiting Diana.
Yeah, she says it turns out, I found out later, that Diana had totally been matchmaking. She'd set the whole thing up.
Right, okay,
Yeah,
I wasn't
and she'd
clear.
actually made sure that Fergie was seated next to Andrew. It was a total setup, yeah.
Right, okay.
I didn't know that.
I think that's really says a lot about Fergie, that Diana basically chose Fergie, I think, for herself.
Yeah, I think so.
Diana wanted her around.
Yes, she wanted a mate. She needed a one friend on the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she does continuously say that Di was her absolute best friend. And in the writing of the book, she was like, she's still to this day my best friend. That's so sad because it was 1 year before she died when she wrote that book.
Ugh.
Yeah, oh, man, you have no idea. It's
I can't
really
bear
sad.
that. Yeah, I know.
But, and Andrew, I'm sure you laughed at this, was on leave from HMS Brazen.
That's brilliant.
And I
isn't
think
it?
we should just leave that there. And
How did a
HMS
ship
Brazen.
get called Brazen anyway? Let alone that Prince
couldn't make it
Andrew
up.
was on it. And I love how Fergie, she's so self-deprecating and she's so clumsy
yes,
that when she sat next to Andrew, she's very nervous when she realises she's sat next to him. And then when he comes in, he reaches over for a newspaper, but she thinks he's leaning in to kiss her, so she kisses him. And he's like, oh no, I just wanted the newspaper. That's how they began. She's mortified, but she says he's very charming and he made her feel at ease, which I think the Royals are very good at.
and she has known him since she's a kid, and immediately he's doing jokes at her, and she's punching him in the arm, and she's going, "Oh, this is how it began." And to this day, we're best friends, and that's, in writing the book, they've been divorced for 4 years, and as we know now, 30 years later, they still live together and they're absolutely best friends.
Do you know what? No, I don't think this is just an innocent friendship that's lasted through time. I think they have so much dirt on each other that they have to keep each other close.
Oh,
I really do. I'm sorry. I don't buy any of this. Because why would he be best friends with his ex-wife?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
Well, because they really do get on.
No, I don't think this is just a genuine friendship that's lasted decades. I think they have shit on each other. I really do. Anyway, we'll discuss that later. This is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
That's what we're led to believe at this point.
Yeah, and so they know each other. The relationship develops. He goes back onto HMS Brazen and he's sending her roses and stuff.
Yeah.
And then they see each other more and more, and he goes and has spaghetti hoops on toast in her little flat. And then she comes to the palace and stuff, and it's kind of developing, but she's still with Paddy.
Yeah, she is, and he's got other girlfriends.
I think this is really interesting, is that when they realise now, Andrew and Sarah, that they probably are going to take it to the next level, Sarah says to Andrew, well, I'm going out with Paddy still. And he says, why should I mind? I like you. I couldn't care less about that.
Yes.
And then she then says, nor was I jealous about Andrew's girlfriends. And it's just like, well, okay. So you're basically telling us this is a complete open relationship. This is what's normal in your world.
Yeah.
That you can get together with someone and actually not care that they might be seeing other people.
She does very much definitely say that in this book. You can't deny it. Make of it what you will. But that's definitely what that implies, yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
And she says there was no massive thunderbolt with Andrew. They're just hanging out. And she says, I liked before I loved. So it's almost like a business arrangement.
Yeah.
Charles has been married off now for a few years. Andrew's to that age now. He's second in line to the throne. He needs to have a wife. He needs to start making children.
Yep.
It's the business transaction that's needed. And I think they kind of both sort of know that they don't have to be madly in love.
Yeah, you're right.
Fergie knows how it works. She's got royal blood, you know.
Yeah, she does. And the thing with Paddy is he was 20 years older. He'd already had kids and he didn't really want to marry her. And she knew it. And well, she does want kids. She does want to be a mother. You can tell because she's a good mother.
Yeah, but also I'm sure she wants the excitement of being part of the royal family, because if she likes her weekend hunting parties, she's going to get the best ones ever being part of the royal family.
Oh, yes. That is true, yeah. By the way, it took 6 months of seeing each other for Andrew to tell her to call him Andrew and not Sir.
Oh, my... Yeah, I know, that's weird, isn't it?
6 months!
So when she's serving him spaghetti hoops on toast in her flat,
yeah,
is she still calling him Sir?
I reckon so, yeah.
So do you want me to butter your toast, sir?
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, it is just weird.
Anyway, 1986, she describes this visit to Sandringham, which was a big deal because it was just the royal family and she was definitely a girlfriend at that point. And she describes it like she was so anxious she turns up with sweat rings under her arms and then she walks in, gets a drink and trips over the piano and tips a drink all over the sofa and then she kicks a corgi in front of the Queen. That's got to be the worst thing you can do. But, you know, she said that's who she continued to be, like the clown in the room. And clowns are always the saddest, you know, underneath. And that's what she kind of is, I think.
Yeah, and, you know, but she's very, very aware of her own shortcomings. She knows that she's not very graceful.
Yeah.
She knows she's not going to ever be like Diana.
No.
But the shame of it is that the royal family comes with so much protocol and so many rules. You know, Fergie didn't go to finishing school. She deliberately didn't go. She wasn't a ballerina. You know, she was a tomboy.
Yes.
So she knows this from the start, that she's not the right person to be a royal princess. She was never going to be. But somehow she's just on this trajectory that takes her right into the heart of the royal family. And she's basically never going to do things properly. I mean, okay, perhaps you shouldn't be kicking a corgi the first time you meet the Queen. You know, she's just very aware that this is who she is. But she's having to stay within these very straight lines. And she has trouble more or less straight away, really.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, she says she's dying inside.
I know.
She always has had this feeling since a young girl of not... It's weird, like she didn't fit in at school, etc. And now she's going somewhere as an adult where she's really not fitting in.
There's some ways she really fits in, like when they all go skiing, she's a really good skier because she's, you know, it's her favourite thing. She goes off with the boys. When she's with the boys, they love her. You know, when she's horse riding or skiing. Charles was always saying to Di, why can't you be more like Fergie? She's going, must have driven Di mad because she could keep up with them. And Di just wanted to be inside and have a nice little drink. And Fergie's like, come on, everyone, let's go again. You know, I can imagine it. Slapping the thigh.
Yeah, I think Fergie, because Fergie's a people pleaser. And she is more boisterous and just a bit less refined. She is a clown. And I think, you know, where Di kind of is more reserved and sits back a bit, Fergie, through her own, they're both insecure, but it comes out in different ways.
Yeah.
Like Fergie's insecurity comes out and being really loud and saying to everyone, oh, look at me, I'll make you laugh.
Exactly.
She actually says, you know, like when Charles says to Diana, oh, I wish you were more like Fergie. Actually, there's a sentence in this book, they're at Balmoral, and I think Fergie is downstairs playing charades and making everyone laugh. And Diana's upstairs in her room crying. And I think, God, that's such a juxtaposition of the two royal princesses.
Yeah.
And actually, neither of them are doing very well. It's just that Fergie is masking it.
That's right. See, when she thought she didn't fit in, around that time, the press decided they loved her and they called her a breath of fresh air. And I actually remember all that. Do you?
Yeah,
you know,
of course,
it's like, she's so fun. She's so honest. She's so great. You know, and she started to believe the hype. And that is almost her downfall, I think. She started spending all the money on dresses and thinking, yes, I am a breath of fresh air, and then just overdoing it. And then eventually everyone got sick of her and it turned on her. Well, not everyone. The press decided to turn on her.
And the paparazzi just won't leave her alone. So she actually has to move into Buckingham Palace before they get married.
That's right.
I love that. When Andrew goes off on his stag night,
Yeah.
Do you love the hen night story with her and Diana dressed up as police women?
It's crazy. There's a bunch of them, including her and Di, and this is after Di's married to Charlie.
Oh, Di is the most famous woman in the world right now.
Yeah, they properly dress up as policemen. They've got grey wigs as well or something, haven't they? Like old police women. And they're outside Buckingham Palace pretend arresting one of their own.
For being a prostitute.
Yeah.
Then the police of Buckingham
So
Palace.
they all get bundled into a van.
Yeah. They
arrest the royals.
Wow, they think they're up to no good. And so they literally get carted off in a police van.
Yeah.
Or the police not realising who they are.
I like it when they said that they're in that police van. When they're in a police van, Princess Di asks if she can have some of their crisps. So she ends up sitting there munching on smoky bacon crisps. And then at one point, one of the policemen who's driving the van realises who it is. He goes, "Oh my heavens, it's the Princess of Wales in drag." That's just brilliant. Oh my heavens. I must start saying that. It's a great phrase.
Oh my heavens. And then Diana says, "Can you drop us off at Annabelle's, the nightclub in Berkeley Square?" So they go clubbing dressed as policewomen. The nightclub almost don't let them in because they're like, "No, we don't let policewomen in because we want people to enjoy themselves." And it's just like, oh my God, that's Diana. In fact, and they go in and just have an orange juice at the bar. I'm amazed that
it's weird. Well, she says have an orange juice at the bar, right? I don't know why she says that, because the next day she says, "I had to have breakfast with the Queen and I was so hungover I could hardly see straight." I'm like, why did you pretend you didn't drink? Why did you say orange juice? Like, what? That's weird. Or they were on drugs. I don't know.
Maybe it's that thing, sometimes when people say they go out, "I'm going to have a shandy or a lemonade," when they actually mean having an alcoholic drink. Maybe that's just what she means, an orange juice. It's
half a bottle of vodka with an orange juice.
She actually says when she met the Queen the next day, she says that she told her what had happened, and the Queen actually thought it was funny.
Exactly, she actually was amused.
But the Queen and Margaret, didn't they do that themselves? I think they escaped from the palace one night.
I
think it was something like at the end of the war when everybody was celebrating or something. They both escaped from the palace and just had a night out as incognito young women.
They did, didn't they? Yeah, they did.
Oh, nice.
You see, the Queen comes out so well. She always comes off so well.
The Queen?
Yeah, the Queen. She always just goes up in my esteem.
Yeah, no, Fergie's making the Queen out to be nice because she wants to stay in favour with her through this book.
That's true.
Yeah, you're pulling no wool over my eyes. The Queen's a gangster, come on. She's a godfather. She's a godmother.
She's not. She's the gangster's bitch. They all work for the firm.
You can't say that.
Well, I did. Nobody's around to hear me. She's gone, sadly. She knows I'm her biggest fan. I miss her. Anyway, carry on.
So they get married. They
do get married. And I actually find it quite sad because they had this massive royal wedding and her dad was with her in the carriage and she was doing her screwing light bulbs, waving and all that. And there's a point where she sat in her, massive, there's like 200 odd whatever people at dinner and she sat between the king or something and Prince Philip and she actually goes, "Where's my mum? Where's my best friend? Where are the people telling all the jokes and doing the speech?" Because that's not royal protocol. So there's none of those. When she was little, she tripped over a horse. There's none of that.
Yeah.
And she suddenly felt really sad that it was so formal. And then she realised she's married an institution a little bit late. And then the worst part is they get the carriage off to their honeymoon and they go off down the Mall and she's waving and she sees her dad in the crowd, like just waving just with everyone else. And she feels massively, she said it like breaks my heart when I think about it now. It's just a bit, you've sold your soul.
It's almost, you can't, if you're marrying into the royal family, people would say, "Oh, well, you know what you're letting yourself in for." Actually, you don't know what you're letting yourself in for because how could you know how different everything is?
Yeah. And not only that, before they got married, she said they only spent one night apart in a year because Andrew was at Greenwich training, Navy training. And after they got married, almost straight after, they went on a honeymoon for 2 weeks, but even that was like on HMS Britannia, where there was the Royal Marine Band playing. There's 276 staff on board, and there's just the two of them as guests. And that's just horrible, So that was their honeymoon, and then the royal family joined them, and then he goes off to be in the Navy. And from that point on average, they spent 42 days a year together. That's 320 odd. I'm not brilliant at maths, but that's 320 odd days without your husband. They basically divorced there and then, straight after the wedding, basically.
Yeah, you can't sustain a marriage if you're only seeing each other like 42 days a year.
No.
And we actually know that through just reading Patsy Kensit's book, who's had 4 marriages. Yeah. She's always filming. Her boyfriends are always on tour. They never see each other. A marriage cannot last when you do not see your spouse.
No, you're a rock and roll widow, a royal and roll widow. Yeah, it's rubbish. And she didn't see that coming. At all. And she kept saying, can I go with him? Could I actually just live at the naval base and be a royal wife? I don't need this house. I don't need...
Yeah.
And they said, no, it's not protocol. So they kept them apart. Even when she had kids, she had 2 princesses, Eugenie and the other one, Beatrice.
The other one.
And even then, he used to come home on leave and then it'd be off again. So it's not really what she signed up for.
Oh, she talks about life in the prison as a royal... What, did I just say prison?
You did,
I meant
that is Freudian. Yeah,
because it's like a prison.
It's totally a prison.
Yeah.
It's the poshest prison you've ever heard of.
It sounds miserable, though, because it's such an old
building. She doesn't even have her own fridge.
Yeah.
She doesn't even have a kettle. She can't even make a cup of tea. She's got a ring for one.
And she orders her grilled fish, and it's the kitchen's so far away that it's cold by the time it gets to her apartment.
Yeah, that's right. And even if she wants to go outside for a stroll, it's about 20 minutes. Yeah. That's how big the palace is.
Yeah. Her apartment's at the front of the palace, and she's not allowed near the windows during the day because she can't be seen.
Yes.
It just sounds miserable, actually. And she can't be spontaneous anymore.
No.
She's got a book of appointments. She has to be up at 6 o'clock every morning as somebody comes in to dress her. And then she might have to change 2 or 3 times a day for other appointments. It sounds pretty miserable, I have to be honest. Yeah. For somebody who had so much gusto and lust for life and was always running around doing different things, all of a sudden she has a very, very structured life.
And she, of course, attacked that with
And if she wants to go and have dinner with friends or something, she has to put a request in to change her diary, and even haircuts and stuff. Everything is scheduled and regimented.
It's absolute madness. In 1987, they went on a big overseas tour together, her and Andrew. It was full on schedule. So at the end, there was 2 weeks to relax. Andrew, because he's all naval and hearty, he wants to go for 2 weeks canoeing in the Northwestern Territories. Like a grueling survival in tundra.
Oh my God,
you don't want to hear the word tundra next to the word holiday. Oh my God. It's like,
and poor Fergie, she's still the consummate people pleaser. She goes along and she does it.
Flipping heck.
Oh, it sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is where the press turn against. They've been married for a couple of years. They've not really seen each other that much. She then has little Beatrice, and then there's a royal tour of Australia for her and Andrew, and Beatrice is 6 weeks old, and Fergie is like, you can travel really easily with a 6-week-old baby. They don't do anything yet, and obviously she's got a royal nanny and stuff. They don't let her take the child, and that's when the press start to turn against her, and they say, you're a bad mother.
Yeah.
And it really surprised her, because all of a sudden, up to that point, it's been Fergie, the breath of fresh air, and now, there's kind of rumblings of trouble, and the press aren't necessarily on her side. They start to bully her because she put on so much weight when she was pregnant. They actually rename her from the Duchess of York. The papers start calling her the Duchess of Pork.
They do.
I mean, that must be humiliating for her, because we know what a low body image she has anyway.
That's right. And she says she used to be, the breath of fresh air and everything, and now they're calling her crass, rude, raucous. She's got no dignity, and she says, but that's what sort of thing her dad used to say to her, and it's in her so deep that she knows it's true. They're saying everything that she already knew she was. But then she says at one point, around this time, Prince Charles says, we don't run our staff, they run us. They work in that Buckingham Palace to perpetuate their own power. That's where I just went, Harry's book was right.
Yeah.
And they're dropping stories to the press and leaking what she's doing to the press because they've got an agenda, because it's sort of rumoured that Di isn't happy. They can throw her under the bus to save Charles and Di's marriage because he's the heir to the throne. So they need them to stay together. So it's a warning to Di. Do not fuck up, because if you do, we'll do this to you.
Yeah.
I think she really believes that they Well, it seems like there's almost proof that they did it, just like with Harry.
She calls them the grey men. It's all the courtiers, the butlers and the footmen.
Yeah.
There is like an inside mafia itself. I mean, they're just all horrible, bitchy men.
It's vile.
They are despicable and disgusting people. And they basically bully Di, but at this moment in time, they're really out to get Fergie.
Yeah.
Well, I think they set her up, I think they set Fergie up. This whole thing, which is kind of the tipping point, where she has a visitor to the palace, this Iraqi guy who's connected to Iraqi oil. She invites him to the palace for drinks, and she doesn't quite know. She doesn't have that many visitors.
She checked with the Queen, hasn't she?
She's checked with the Queen. She's checked with the courtier. She's checked with all the people. Where can I have him? Who's going to meet him at the door? Who's going to bring him to the room?
Yeah.
She's so nervous anyway at this point because everybody hates her. She's completely following protocol. Anyway, this guy comes in and he uses what's known as the sovereign entrance. I don't know what this is. I'm guessing that's a door that only the Queen can use. Anyway, she's oblivious to all of this because a courtier brings this guy in through that entrance. Anyway, he comes, they have their drinks. And, she says it's a bit naive because she wasn't up on world events and realised this guy is linked with Saddam Hussein. But not all of that hasn't kicked off yet in Q8. Do you know what I mean? But it's a very grey area.
And that wouldn't necessarily mean that she wouldn't meet him because, got to keep world peace, haven't you? Yeah.
So anyway, then she's summoned to a meeting with the head court. She calls him Mr. Z, Mr. Z. And she goes in and there's 4 of these men in there. And they really start tearing a strip off her because she let her guest use the sovereign's entrance. And it's kind of like, well, I didn't really because a courtier brought him in. Anyway, they fixate on this. She was completely set up.
Yes.
It's quite obvious when you read it.
They totally lay into
And then they start bringing everything else up. And there's 4 of these men in there. They rip her apart. She said she felt like she was in the headmaster's office. And they were being so vile to her. She was in there for an hour. And she says when she left, she had to walk back to her apartment. She started getting dizzy. And then she reveals that she was 8.5 months pregnant. So these vile men are like really being so despicable to a heavily pregnant Fergie. It really upsets her. And it upsets her so much. She goes to the Queen and she says to her, I didn't realise I'd upset you so much. Please come to me next time. The Queen knows nothing about it.
Yeah. And then she said her pregnancy, which had been going really well, suddenly went haywire and she had to have a cesarean. She's still got the scar and that scar is a reminder of those men and what they did. Because they obviously ambushed her when she was at her most vulnerable on purpose. It's quite obvious. If you read this book alone, it'd be one thing. But to read it with Harry's, it's like, no, this is exactly the same stuff he said. They are disgusting people. They're Sloane Rangers, she said. They're not even aristocracy, the people who work there. And they've all been to the same public schools and they're all old chums and they look after each other.
They're bitter, failed people. It's so corrupt.
Bullies.
Yeah, they're really horrible people. Lock them all in Buckingham Palace and leave them all there. And get rid of the royal family while you're at it.
Yeah. Well, if some people say, do you think we should get rid of the royals? I'll probably say, well, I'd get rid of their system, which is foul. There's far more of them than there actually are of royals, although there's tons of all of them. Gross. Anyway, it all goes to pot.
Yeah, right.
And it unravels.
So when Fergie gets to Buckingham Palace, she's overdraft by 800 quid and she's only got a 10-year-old car. That's it. And all of a sudden she's part of the royal family. And she actually says, people think, oh, they've got money. Now, Charles and Diana have money because Charles is the heir to the throne. Andrew, in many ways, is the spare. And, he just doesn't have the budget that the next king is given. So actually, even though they're living initially in Buckingham Palace, all of their expenses and stuff, they have to come out of the public purse, but it's not like never ending. Andrew's assigned a certain amount of money and he's only the second one, so it's not as much. He gets £50,000 from the Navy, and that's kind of what they're having to survive on.
And she's spending over £2,500 on a frock.
Yeah, so even though they get this money from the public purse, all of her clothes and stuff, it has to be paid for from that. And she can't go out like with stuff from Primark, high street fashion. She has to wear designer clothes and she can only wear them once. So actually the money doesn't go very far. But what's interesting is the royal family have an account at Coutts, which is a big posh bank in England. And she can basically charge anything to it.
Yeah, big mistake.
And boy, does she ever charge stuff to it. I mean, she's going on a spending spree, isn't she?
Yeah.
For years. And she's very, very generous.
She buys people presents.
I mean, she even buys stuff for like the Queen on it. And the Queen actually says to her, you don't have to do this. And I think that was the Queen's way of saying, stop spending our bloody money.
Yes. Apparently it's a royal thing to spend very little on presents because it's the opposite of trying to show you're rich, And that reminds me that didn't Princess Margaret give Prince Harry a biro? Pen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And this makes
sense now.
Because you've got everything you need. So just give people silly practical things. That does make more sense. Yeah. But she's probably buying them all cars and putting it on the account.
Yeah, but to cut a long spending spree short, she runs up a 6-figure debt.
Massive debt, yeah.
And it's around this time, actually. Now, you see, this is where I think the royal family act like gangsters and drug dealers. Because it's around this time that the press just hate Fergie so much. The people in the palace hate her so much. And, she's just had the second child, but it's actually about this time that the marriage really stops working. Not that it ever really worked, did it?
Yeah. Oh, can I just add this in? Because they didn't have anywhere to live when she had her first kid. So they looked around for homes, couldn't really find one. And so they ended up getting given a plot by the Queen and building their own home. I think it's called Sunnyhill or Sunnydale or
Sunningdale, yeah, something like that.
Because they had it all designed and built, and it was like a 30-room mansion. But it was vile. And I've seen pictures and it is horrible. Like, it's about 2/3 roof. And some of the roofs have little windows in. But it's literally like 2/3 orange roof. And underneath it looks like Lego. It's vile. It does look like a supermarket. And it was extremely extravagant. And they ran out of money building that. Actually, that was where it started going wrong, isn't it?
Oh, is this where they had the photo shoot for Hello magazine?
Yeah. Because she actually says, it was absolutely unfinished. There were columns without cornices on. How can you live like that? So, I mean, she had to find the money somewhere. Also, the pool hadn't been built yet. Things, massively important things like that. So she did a deal with Hello magazine and she thought it would just be about a 4 or 5 page spread. So she did this deal. They got 200 grand, enough money to finish the house. But it was a 75-page or picture. Wow. The whole magazine was dedicated to them. And it was like the Queen was livid, everyone was livid, because that's what celebrities do. And they were royals.
But the thing is that Fergie really got the rap for that, even though Prince Andrew was literally in it as much as she was.
Oh, he totally was on board with it, yeah.
Yeah.
He was on board with it.
That was just another massive black mark against Fergie's name, which already has a whole line of black marks against it at the moment.
And she's so at odds to tell us that she's normal, but it's nothing normal here. It's not normal. It never has been, She's come from money. They don't have money. She's spending money like it's water. I mean, when they end up living in this house, like an 8th birthday party was thrown for one of her kids and they put a whole adventure playground, a whole circus into the whole grounds. They were the people that put the events on, because she says, I had to spend the money. I mean, I wasn't going to have a party and not do it right, she says. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I know what you're the person who has these massive events. Of course you are, because everyone has them in that level of money and wealth. But they probably are the poor people in their set. That's the mad thing. Those royals are the paupers.
Yeah, well, she says that the royal family, she has to spend so much money being a royal, like quite literally they have to show wealth. But being a member of the royal family, you're not allowed to earn your own money because your time is spent doing the personal appointments.
No, you have to work for charity.
And so therefore, like things like the Hello magazine spread is a necessity for them. And the royal family might not like it, but it's like, what else are they supposed to do? Get further into debt? Actually, it turns out she gets a lot further into debt.
But I mean, yeah, she is insanely spending money. Yeah, it's one of those. It's a bit of a quandary. But she probably is the poor relative amongst her set, for sure, even though she's not poor in any way compared to normal people.
But the thing is, around this time, Fergie goes to Andrew and says, look, I just can't do this anymore. Everybody's being so horrible to me, and she's doing her best. She's being a people pleaser. And, so she goes to Andrew and says, I can't do this anymore. And Andrew just goes, oh, all right then.
Yeah, he does.
There seems to be no fight there whatsoever.
Yeah. But he never sees her. He knows.
So she's kind of cast asunder. And she says, once the decision is made, it's so abrupt. Like everything is cancelled. It's almost like don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Yes.
She literally, it was over that quickly. And what's very, very interesting is this whole debt that she's run up on the royal family account. That's hers. When she leaves the royal family, she takes that debt with her.
She's 3 million in debt. Wow. Which is shocking. And, she meets this
It is
bloke.
shocking. And do you know what? Being really fair and generous to her, I don't believe you run up £3 million just by buying a few dresses and throwing a couple of kids' parties. The majority of that was a necessary spend through her royal work. Wouldn't you think?
I don't know. She's flying all the time to go skiing and she's in the jet-setting crowd. That takes money that she doesn't have.
But 3 million?
She's spending it. She doesn't have it. Those rich friends of hers do. That's what I'm saying. And so one of the blokes she meets, he's called John. What's his name?
John Bryan.
Bryan?
Yeah.
Yeah. And, it's right when she's leaving Andrew and he's going, I'll look after you. I'll sort that out for you. I do all the business stuff. She doesn't know about that. She gives him power of attorney really early on, which is insane.
That's such
and he's
a
like,
shock.
I'll make all these investments for you. I'll sort it out. I'll massage your back. I mean, literally, he'll do everything for her.
Yeah.
So she's sleeping with him, obviously. This bloke is the one who is photographed sucking her toe or kissing her toe, she says. Anyone who lived through that does not forget that. It was about 95, was it?
Yeah.
It was all over because she was topless as well. She was on holiday with this bloke and she'd only just split up from Andrew and he's sucking her toe. And it's like, what? Does turn out the palace completely and utterly gave that information, that totally secret information, to the press because that was a private chartered plane. Nobody could know where they were.
They were in the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere.
They were in the middle of like 20 acres on a private estate.
And they'd definitely been tipped off because they went back to investigate and they found that they dug themselves a trench to hide in for the whole time they were there. They were just trying to make sure. They say, once she's out, she's not coming back. We're going to ruin her. That's what they did. And we'll ruin anyone who's still friends with her. They're just trying to absolutely destroy her. They did a very good job, honestly, didn't they?
They did, but she's never quite gone away.
She hasn't gone away. But this bloke then betrayed her, ultimately. He ruined her money. He sold his story to the paper. It's just terrible.
Oh, saying that he'd had sex with her while she was on the phone to Andrew.
Yeah, rubbish.
Yeah, I don't believe that for a second. Yeah, this guy is a real piece of work, actually.
He really is. Bryan. And he says, I can't
He was
slag
an
him off too much.
opportunist, yeah.
Yeah, because he was using her, but then she was using him back. And so she's very diplomatic about that.
I think she's just a fool, really, and we know now because of recent news. She's just such an idiot. The company she keeps, it's like she never, ever learns.
No.
I think she's so desperate to clear her debt that she will do stupid things like befriend Jeffrey Epstein and to tap him up for money.
Yeah, right.
There's no other explanation. I think she's so desperate. And I think this is part of the gangster of the royal family keeping a check on her. They've saddled her with massive debt so they know that she can never truly be free.
Yeah.
But I also think that they're very careful with her because I think she knows stuff about Andrew and I think they have to keep her sweet. And I think the most recent thing where King Charles has now told them that they can't use their titles anymore. Not that I think Fergie had a title anymore.
Duchess of York. They can keep that, can't they?
No, they're not. They're not allowed to use it anymore, I don't think. And I think...
Oh.
Yeah, and I think the press have really, really gone in on Fergie over this Epstein link to the point where she's lost all of her charity, which the end part of this book is about her charity work, and she's done so much good. And
she has done so much. She really has.
At one point, she was chosen to be the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, and the palace actually put a stop to that.
Yes, they vetoed
And
it.
that just seems like she would have been brilliant, actually, and I think it would have set her on the straight and narrow. But so she tries to do good, and the
does.
palace seem to scupper it at every point. It's almost like they want to keep control of her. It would be no good if she became the next Mother Teresa.
No,
Do you know
I
what I
know.
mean? They need to keep her as this kind of bumbling idiot.
Yeah, I know.
And they're doing it. And now this whole latest Epstein thing, it was... do you know what? I tried to be so generous with this woman, but the thing with Epstein happened after he came out of prison in 2009. And do you know what? I didn't know that he went to prison in 2009 for soliciting a minor for sex. So she knew that. And she kept in with him because she was tapping him up for money because she was so desperate.
Right.
And you know what? All along this story, all along her life, at the beginning I said I like the underdog and I root for them. And even when Fergie is set up by the English press for this sting where, the fake shake where she sells access to Prince Andrew for £500,000. I think, okay, she has this massive debt from being part of the royal family.
Yeah.
So what? She's selling them out to pay some of that off. Fair play. I don't care. I don't care about any of that. But this connection to Jeffrey Epstein, it's just so, at best, it's misjudged. At worst, it's completely indefensible.
It's no good. It's rubbish. Yeah, you're right.
You could say, okay, she's so desperately in debt, she's going to do anything. But I just think at this point, and to discover she's still living with Prince Andrew after everything, it's like the cognitive dissonance is off the scale. And actually, it has to make you realise as much as you want to defend this bumbling idiot, at which point do you have to realise, no, this is a woman who's grown up with extreme privilege and entitlement. There's something she's just not getting, or maybe she does get it and she's just a complete sociopath. I don't know. This woman, do you know what? I started this podcast by saying I liked in the past tense. I don't anymore. I don't like her. Do you?
I have to say, I mean, now it's come to light what an evil, evil man Epstein was. She's supported him to the end. She supported Andrew, who was complicit, and she supported the evil man who she calls a supreme friend, even when she knows what he's done. I can't like her. You cannot. She has to be held accountable.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Thrift Shop Biography. We love making this podcast and we're absolutely thrilled that so many of you are already listening. You could really help us out by leaving us a review somewhere, wherever you listen to this podcast. And if you could share us, tell your friends about us, or drop some links on social media. We have a Facebook page called Thrift Shop Biography, so make sure you come over there to hear about the episodes first and what else we're up to. Okay, see you next week. And if you're new here, there are loads more episodes now to go and listen in the back catalogue, so make sure you go and enjoy them. Okay, thank you very much.